Well, it's funny you say that because speaking of turning on people, Stephen King, the
Annoying woke author.
super woke. I mean, every chance he gets to not only make fun of Trump, because whatever, everybody makes fun of Trump, but make fun of fucking conservatives or right wingers in general, he takes that opportunity. Stephen King wrote, I would never consider diversity in matters of art, only quality. It seems to me that to do otherwise would be wrong. Now,
I mean,
perfectly reasonable.
but
And I hate Stephen King.
Doesn't that mean, Stephen, if maybe I'm out of turn here, but doesn't that mean that affirmative action is bullshit? Doesn't that mean that, you know what I mean? There's a lot of diversity quotas out there that if you're admitting that in art it's applicable, then wouldn't that be applicable in terms of, I don't know, who's the pilot on your airplane and who's the, you know what I mean? Like who's building the car you're going to drive and who's installing the airbags? Like, again, I agree with you. I don't believe in diversity quotas for any gig in life.
Now you have to understand, what you have to understand is something about Stephen King is there are like these idols that these conservatives that these fucking lefties love to retweet. Stephen King is obviously one of them. Patton Oswalt is another one. There's Patton Oswalt is the other one that said a couple weeks ago, like, you know, fuck you, Trump, and fuck you if you voted for Trump. Like, I'm like, Jesus, dude, fucking chill the fuck out.
He's such an angry little.
But yeah, I know. But you know, what's he gonna do? Justified isn't around. He's not getting the same work he used to.
Also doesn't have the same wife he used to.
She died. So Stephen King, by the way, Stephen King, the same guy who's not writing any new books of worth either. Nobody. What's the latest Stephen King project?
I mean,
all Stephen King the only thing Stephen King uses a pen for is to sign off for other companies to make Netflix series off of his fucking old books.
By the way, I'm just gonna say it. Stephen King is fucking overrated. His writing sucks. His premises were great. Stephen King is like a comedian who has really great premises, but you know what I mean? Like the writing and the punchlines don't land as good. Like honestly, read a Stephen King book. It's really boring. Stephen King movies are great because those people, they get good screenwriters and they take his premise and
they boil it down.
Oh wow, killer car that's sentient and fucking killing people. All right, I'm feeling it. You know, oh shit, fucking, you know what I mean? Oh man, this guy. By the way, Needful Things. That fucking that parable has been around since the beginning of time. Like the Needful Things is not an original Stephen King thing. The whole be careful what you wish for, the whole like
monkey paw
wishing for things and then getting, you know, them making a deal with the devil and then him having some kind of fucking, you know, caveat in the deal. All of his premises are kind of have already been done.
What's your favorite Stephen King book?
Like
you pick one.
Unironically?
Yeah, unironically. Book, not movie. Because The Shining is great, but that Kubrick is the reason that movie was great. So what book alone that you've read, what's your favorite Stephen King book?
Didn't he do Stand By Me?
Yes, I believe so. And Shawshank, too. Didn't he do Shawshank?
Probably Stand By Me.
My favorite Stephen King book is The Long Walk.
Is it the Green Mile book?
No. The Long Walk
that was based
was one where it's kind of dystopian future where all these troubled kids that would normally go to jail or whatever, they do this yearly long walk and they just walk. And it's this, think of kind of like the Hunger Games sort of, but the last kid to walk doesn't get killed.
Yeah.
So like he survived. So he wrote it under, remember that time Stephen King wanted to prove to everybody that he could still write, so he used like a fucking pen name?
A lot of people are saying The Stand. The Stand is actually pretty dope.
Stand's pretty good too.
Cool. But again, a lot of his most famous works.
Richard Bachman, that's the name he used. Yes.
A lot of his most famous stuff, though, like the movies are better because he drags on, dude.
People tell me the Dark Tower series, and man, I've tried. I'm not lying when I tell you I've tried 3 or 4 times with that, and I just couldn't. It was too much. It was too convoluted. But anyway, back to Stephen King made that tweet. Again, the tweet was, I would never consider diversity in matters of art, only quality. It seems to be only quality. It seems to me that otherwise would be wrong. Well, here's what happened, Mike, and you sent this to me. A lot of woke people on Twitter are not happy with Stephen King today.
They're never fucking happy.
So let's read some. I'm going to read some of these, and I'm going to read some of the last names and first names too, but to pay attention to some of the last names. David Weissman replied, "Sir, before we continue, I don't understand why all of these people replied to him like they were writing a business email. Sir, I respectfully saying you as a white man can't really say that. You had more advantages and opportunities than a person of color would have. They have been wrongfully held back in so many ways just because of the color of their skin."
Can I read the next one? Because we're doing it since it's so professional sounding.
Please, absolutely.
They all sound like members of the British Parliament.
Of course.
So I'm going to do it. With all due respect, I am afraid a meritocracy would only work if the game were rigged, sir.
That's
Laura
Lipman.
Lipman, Weissman. It's like, come on, man.
Belle Rodriguez with an S, which is weird. Spell it with a Z or don't use it. It's easy to consider only quality when you can see yourself in every damn work of art out there. Well, hold on. Wait a second. Pump the brakes. Let's use your argument, but let's use it in a different way. Are you saying that most great works of art have been made by a certain group of people? And maybe, I'm not saying this, obviously Belle Rodriguez is saying it, and maybe a certain group of people tend to be better?
Yeah, also there was this whole thing called the, I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's a very, very obscure historical period called the Renaissance.
That's the movie with Danny DeVito, and he teaches the boot camp?
You get it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of certain types that were engaged in the Renaissance. 90% of them were just Italian.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, I want to flip this on them. I agree. We need more diversity quotas. I'm changing my opinion. I want, as of next year, I want the NBA and I want the NFL. I want every team is going to be required to have 5 white guys. What do you say?
5 white guys? I like that. That's great. I mean, it's going to be terrible for the teams. They're going to be the Washington Generals.
Could you imagine? Like, there's a reason why. Like, if you do that, right? If you do this in art, people like Steve. Have you ever seen, by the way, some of the black like romance novels, like the modern ones, where it's like about like, oh god, it's really ghetto. There's these really ghetto romance novels that these fat black women write, and it's so like. You know, in the world of art, you'd have people like Stephen King dunking on those, you know, diamond and silk types. But then we get to play in the NBA, and LeBron James gets to just fucking embarrass us like Harlem Globetrotters style, like just holding us and spinning a ball. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why can't we go back to individualism? Why can't we go back to I want to be good at this one thing? And I'm going to put everything I got into being good at this one thing. Instead of being a victim, instead of trying to make the system let me in because I'm not good enough to make the cut, like just find something you're good at, be the goddamn best at it, and that's it.
You want the real answer?
Well, I mean...
Look at the first 2 names on this list.
I know.
The last one, Morgan Jerkins, with the utmost respect.
You know what, by the way, real appropriate name. You're a real jerk.
Oh, I get it.
Fucking ruined her.
It's done. Hey, moron jerk lady.
Oh, shit.
Take that. With the utmost respect, I think this is quite a bit unfair. When films created by people of color, Jews create films all the time, irrespective of quality, constantly get overlooked by institutions that are predominantly comprised of white men. There is an implicit bias at work here.
Well... But black people make plenty of good films. John Singleton is like, well, was because he's dead now, but John Singleton is still remembered as one of the best filmmakers of his time. Boys in the Hood was one of the biggest films ever, and it was one of the most accurate portrayals of that kind of life.
Spike Lee's early stuff is pretty good.
Spike Lee. What are you talking about?
And if we're looking at just box office wise, not even quality wise, I mean, Madea movies make a fucking truckload of money. You know, Tyler Perry is a fucking billionaire. because of being a black director. I think the problem that these people are having is that nature takes its course, right? Like there's a certain things happen. Like if you were to leave everything alone, if you were just to leave everything alone and not interfere, certain groups of people would be better at other things than other people. That's just the way it is, right? Like Asians are going to be better at math. You know, Asians will be better at math and picking up instruments, right? Hispanics will be better at selling fruit. Like everyone's going to have better things.
See,
it's true. Well, I mean, I'm just telling. It's true.
They're also good at selling it on the freeway.
Yes. Okay. Bags of oranges. Look, whatever. All right. Puerto Ricans are really good at being in the front line of militaries. Everybody's really good at something, right? The problem is you're trying to make the next amazing basketball player, like you said earlier, is it going to be Jerry McGillicuddy from Iowa? You know, it's not going to happen.
Hey guys, just a heads up, Larry Bird is never coming back.
No, he's not.
That's it. There's no more Larry Birds.
And now he's gone forever. It is funny to me. Like I have no sympathy for these people at all. The Stephen King's, J.K. Rowling's, like, 'cause they turned on her too because of the trans stuff. Like I have no sympathy for these people because we've always said it, and you know, some people listen, some people don't. They will always they're going to come for you. You can't. The problem with cancel culture is that nobody will ever be perfect enough. It's like trying to be exactly like Jesus, right? Like you'll never be that holy, right? You'll never be that immaculate. You'll never be that perfect. You'll always fall short. The difference is, let's use Christianity for example. The difference is in Christianity, you're expected to fall short of Jesus, and when you do, they go, "Hey, you know what? We're all sinners. Ask for forgiveness. Pick yourself back up. You're still a good person." In cancel culture, it's you fucked up. You can never have a job again.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to see your kids. You're not allowed to own a home. You're not allowed to be on social media, you bigot. And that's the issue.
Well, the other thing too is that my problem with these cancel culture people is that they can't at least admit that their little crews that go around and get people canceled, it's all about them. It's not about actual victims. It's not about oppressed peoples. It's not.
Of course not.
Best example was recently this Tessa Blanchard situation, right? So the woman who's alleged to have been she spit in her face, called her the N-word or whatever. They finally tracked this chick down and asked her like about her side of the story. And she straight up said like, yeah, it happened years ago. And to be honest with you, I really didn't want to talk about it. I didn't really want to focus on it. I wanted to move on with my life and career. And I really don't like, I like to keep my shit private and I like to keep my life private. But these people came out with my story and and that just goes to show you, like, you're so desperate to crusade against people that you take somebody else's experience that they don't even want to talk about and you out them and you use something that they didn't even want to use that happened to them to empower your gay ass movement. That's my problem with it. They've no respect for the people who are actually victims who should have the first say in how it's handled.
The other problem with a lot of these verified check marks that are pushing this cancel culture is all of them have more skeletons in their closet than everybody that they try to take down, right? Mm-hmm. It always happens. They are so imperfect. The problem is cancel culture has become a trend because that's what it is. I think calling it a movement is an insult to actual movements, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like what Martin Luther King did, civil rights was a movement. It was a movement. Cancel culture isn't a movement. Cancel culture is it's hip to fucking destroy people for something they've done, and this person's canceled and that person's canceled. Shut the fuck up. I am so sick of single moms saying their baby daddy ain't shit and not letting their fathers see their kids, wanting Ashton Kutcher not to have a movie role because he said the N-word once in private. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, stop.
And it's we could boil this down to one group of people, not the one you're all obviously thinking of.
Mexicans.
Angry fat women. It's just one thing that I see an abundance of, like, besides people with the last names like Weissman and all this other shit. But the other most overrepresented group in cancel culture is overweight women who are angry. They're so angry. And it's like, all right, we get it. You're mad.
Overweight women and the guys who want to fuck them.
Yeah. Well, not the guys that want to fuck them. The guys that'll fuck anything.
You're right.
Because they don't know, even the fucking Nintendo Switch soy boy crowd that is willing to white knight for these fatties, they would also prefer to eat Ariana Grande's ass. But you're not getting that. Mm-hmm. So they just keep moving down the fucking, till they settle for whatever. But that's what it is. It's just angry fat white women that just are angry. It's like I always say too with feminism. Feminism, it's not about being treated equal to men. You want to be treated equal to attractive women, and you'll never be. So you just go on Twitter and you take it out on fucking anybody. Tessa Blanchard, Stephen King, Jake. I'm angry. You know what I mean? And everybody's just sort of let you run wild, and eventually it's gonna it's gonna get old, and we're all gonna get tired of you.
I think people are starting to get tired of it already, to be honest with you. I would say that even a year ago, we were in the peak of it, right? Doing the show, we would see it every day. We were in the peak of it. And I thought at that time, and I mean, I even said it on this show, and I hope I was wrong, but a year ago I was like, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. But I'm starting to have hope again. I really am. When it comes to this, by the way, not everything. But I really am starting to have hope again that people are starting to realize, I don't want to live this way. I don't want to be mad at everybody. I don't want to be micro-analyzing everything everybody does their entire life to see how I could get them. I have a job. I have a family. I have a career. I have hobbies. I don't need to be on Twitter doing this, And yeah, E.T.'s right. The pendulum does start swinging back the other way. Eventually it always does.
R.I.P. Steve Carlisi.
R.I.P. Thanks, Opie.